Hello, my listeners. I would like to welcome you to another episode of Coach Rodo's Winning Regardless podcast. Uh, Today's topic is going to be trophies for everyone. This is a real tough topic, but I felt that we needed to talk about it because I have a lot of different opinions about this thing. You know, the rise of the participation trophy culture is a big deal now. Everyone gets a trophy. Where it came from is it's a tough thing, but I believe that in allowing everyone to get a trophy, regardless to winning or losing, is not teaching values of competition. You compete in everything in life, even for your jobs. You compete for your jobs, you compete for sports, you compete in class, you compete even as heck as babies, you compete. They have freaking baby crawling contest. Which baby is the fastest in crawling? Um, so I believe that competition is inbred in us. However, being rewarded for losing is not. Uh, Being rewarded for losing to me kind of defeats the purpose of competition in life. If I know I'm going to be rewarded just for showing up, why do I need to put in the effort? Why do I need to work as hard as the next person? Because I'm going to get it anyways. It's. I mean, I've seen it in people's work. Why do I need to put in the effort if I'm still going to make the same amount of pay as the person who puts in uh, heavier effort than I do, or maybe the same effort? I just don't understand. I remember one time I was coaching my son's Rocket football team, and we won two games. We were second to last, and coming up as a kid, we only got first, second, and third place. There was no other places. You and that didn't mean that because you took fourth, fifth, sixth, or whatever, you were a loser. You just didn't win in the race. You just didn't win. Your football team didn't win first, second, or third. Your basketball team did not win first, second, or third. It didn't mean that the other places were failures. It just meant you weren't as good as the top three, which is pretty much how life should be and how life is. And it doesn't mean that you can't be rewarded. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve some kind of recognition for your effort. It just as a 11-2 team, or as a 2-11 team, I just didn't understand why all of my parents were okay with the trophy. I wasn't. As the coach, I was like, no, but one of the parents said, well, I'll buy it. And they bought the trophies for our team. That was my very, very first introduction to everyone gets a trophy. And, you know, I mean, it sounds funny. And, you got to remember I'm a Marine, athlete, raised by athletes from an athletic family where, you know, losing wasn't accepted, but it was tolerated because as long as you put in 100% effort and it was shown and it was known, you were kind of exempt. I was glad to see that, my 8-year old son chose to throw his away. I mean, it was a waste of that person, the parents' money, but in his mind, it was, Dad, why are we getting this trophy? And that was my first experience of trophies for everyone. And then as he went to school and started playing sports, I started seeing it quite quite often in other leagues, whereas to where kids would get cut, and the parents with money start their own team. Well, you had a team of kids that got cut from other teams. I mean, bought them all uniforms and gave them a trophy, and they did not win one game. I don't even think they came within 20 points in 15 games. So I did not understand where the reward was in that. You didn't challenge the kids to get better for getting cut, because that's the cloth I come from. You get cut. Okay, well, I'll be back next year, coach. And just what do I need to improve on? And all summer, that's what you did. You improved on the things that got you cut. I could not understand that culture, and I had moved to the city of Portage, and that's how a lot of the parents treated the children, treated the kids, to where they had no interest in competing to blood. Where that's where we came up, which was great in the sense of when I started my basketball team. I had my kid, and a couple other kids who were cut from the same cloth that I was and my son was, but I also had some of the Portage kids whose parents were also cut from that cloth, who didn't want their kids to play with the other teams and the other kids, even if they're better, that supported this everyone had a trophy mentality, because that's not real life. you know um Everyone's not rewarded for participation. um the winners do get rewarded the most. I mean, who gets the most money in the sales team? The one who has the highest sale. Well, isn't that a competition of who had, when you're a car salesman, who gets to drive the dealership cars? My highest sellers. I mean, it's written all over all over our society, and yet I feel that we're still trying to coattail to this culture of making everyone winners when everyone is not a winner, and that's okay. There's no judgment. It's just the way of life. It's the way in the animal kingdom. There's winners and losers. You look at lions, when a one pride goes to take over another. Well, if it's a takeover, then that means whoever the head lion was in that pride previous, he's no longer, because competition came in and got rid of him. There was, so I never understood where this everyone gets rewarded just for participating thing came from. In the workplace. It doesn't work like that. Again, as I said, you have to produce. You don't have to just you don't have to just show up. You can't just show up. In the Marine Corps, I don't ever recall being rewarded for participating. Heck, you didn't even get rewarded for winning, which caused you to strive to even be better because you wanted some kind of recognition. You came in first place when we ran our miles, or we did our push-ups, or we did our pull-ups. It wasn't no great job, Marshall. You came in first place. It was on to the next, on to the next, because they were building a mentality of you should expect to win in everything you do. If you participate to win. You don't participate to get a trophy. You don't participate to get an attaboy. You don't participate to get a ribbon. You participate to win. And if you lose, you find out the reason why you lost. So that the next time you participate and win, not a boy, pat on the back, or just a participation trophy. Uh, I think I really can't see any case where rewarding participation, and I don't really see a winning case for that. I mean, this is just my opinion. You don't have to follow by it. I mean, I'm going to say some things that might ruffle some feathers, and but however, some people might feel the same way that I am. So and that's fine. I mean, again, that's part of life. People are gonna like you. People are not gonna like you. People gonna like what you're gonna say. People aren't gonna like what you're gonna say. I just don't believe in participation. I don't see how participation trophies help. I don't see how you're forging our future, because like Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future, and if we teach them that, just by participating, you'll be rewarded. We're going to lose quite a few battles very, very quickly, and we will be behind in everything that we do in life because, even driving from home from work, believe it or not, you're competing against something. Maybe you're supposed to be home, in 20 minutes in traffic. Well, you're competing against that clock to get home on time. I mean, you got to go pick the kids up. You're competing against traffic and time to go pick up the kids, and you don't see it as that, but you are. Everything in life, every day is a competition, and you don't get rewarded for just participating. I believe you should get rewarded for trying, giving your effort and placing. You can try and give your effort and come in fourth and fifth place, and that's fine. You don't get a trophy for it, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with not getting a trophy. There is nothing wrong with your kid experiencing failure. Failure is what produces winners. You're helping your kid continue to be a failure by little Johnny, you participated, so let's go to Olive Garden. Hey, you want to play soccer? Well, what's in little Johnny's mind? Oh, well, I don't have to be good. If I play on the team, I'm gonna go to McDonald's after every game. So that's the only reason why I want to be on the team. Little Johnny never said gets on the field, but he on the team because mom and daddy take him to McDonald's or wherever he wants to go after every game because he's participating. But why not find something that he's competitive in? Maybe the sports thing might be just your dream. He might be great at chess. Now you put him in something that he's competing in, something that he can win in, something that he sees the value in competition. Not, there's no value in participating to me. The only value in participating to me is if you're playing with other kids that are just as good as you on a higher level because you're competing and you're participating. I don't like that. I'm just participating without the competition because at a young age you can't have one or the other. It has to, you can't have them both. They can't be I'm participating and I'm competing because these kids don't even know what participation is. They don't know that sitting on the sideline, not getting any playing time, not practicing at home, not doing anything to get better, not doing anything to improve their craft. They don't understand that that's not what competition is about. But when they see their buddy out there banging bodies with someone or, going after the ball real hard or going after a job real hard, or so that now they're seeing the sport of competition. Now they're seeing that it takes getting bloody to be known or to be seen out there in the world. And it doesn't matter who you're seen by. It doesn't, it's not about being seen. I know saying Coach Rodo, you're thinking in a sports aspect, but it's not about, who you're seen by. It's who you're seen by and what you're seen for. It could be you seen by, I've never seen my son compete like that. It could be a parent, it could be, your friend, like, man, what got into you today? You ain't never came at us like that before. It could be in that sense of, man, we sat down here, the teacher had us do our homework. He was done before everybody was, and he got it all right. It could be in that aspect, not just sitting around and being there just to be there. To me, that's participate. I get into it with my employees on the excuse me, it's just my take on the Michael Jordan and LeBron thing. I always tell my employees that LeBron is a participator. And it's just me making fun because he's a great basketball player, phenomenal human being, phenomenal father, phenomenal philanthropist. He's everything that you will want. But I always use well, he only participated in the NBA finals, because he's 4-6, and MJ actually competed because he's 6-0. So I always use that analogy and joking and having fun with him. But don't understand how people think that competing, or I'm sorry, that participating and not competing is a good thing in life, because to me it isn't. There's nothing in life worth winning if you haven't competed for it. If it was given to, I mean, being given feels nothing like being earned, and those who've only been given, they'll never know what it's like to earn. those of us who have earned knows what it's like to earn, and we never want to be participants. That's why that culture I can never get down with. I mean, I'm sorry again. Again, I might make some people mad or whatever, but I can't apologize for it because I'm not, um, going to change my feelings towards it. You know, again, the downsides are there of not competing. People struggle with accountability because if you're just participating, who's holding you accountable? There's no motivation in just participating because what are you motivated to do? Competition breeds motivation. Whether it's you're motivated to get higher sales numbers than the next person, you're motivated to get more defensive stops than the next person, or the highest person. I'm motivated to get more tackles, motivated to get more interceptions, motivated to throw more touchdown passes, motivated to get a raise quicker than anybody has in the company, motivated to be an intern, to be asked to come back as an intern for something that's never happened, which has never happened before in a company. The motivation to be great to where they want to do that. To make people think outside of the box in which they never have thought of it before. Those things don't happen by just participating. Those things happen by showing, by competing and showing value. Participate. There's no value in a participant. You can't show your value by participating. You have to compete to show and when you sign, you have to, again, you have to compete to show your value because when you first sign your kid up, they put participate. But if you're participating, for the most part, when you're a young kid, again, you're learning, you're taught. Well, coaches make you compete, and they can weed out the ones that's there to participate and those that are there to compete. We start at an early age learning the difference between participating and competing. Somehow along the way, the narrative got changed because in the beginning, we were all good with competing. Somewhere it got mixed up where parents started getting mad because their kids couldn't compete because they weren't good enough, but they wanted them to be good enough to where, okay, it was okay to participate. And I'm going to help you participate by, starting our own little thing. So again, that's, something that I can't get down with. How to balance them. Um, it's tough. I mean, I know how to balance, encouragement and excellence. The way that I balance encouragement and excellence is I always encourage you to do great with whatever you try. However, understanding that I always tell you that I think it was excellent that you even attempted to do something that you've never done before. You are, I encourage you to become a better left-handed player. You become a better left-handed player. I recognize that excellence. I you want to become a better free throw shooter. You're a horrible free throw shooter. I encourage you by telling you, hey, why don't you look on YouTube how to do this? One of my buddies right now is going doing golf. I told him his best teacher, his best lesson will come from YouTube because you can get all of these different pros to teach you how to work on your swing that fits you the best. Again, it's an encouragement thing, and who knows, he looks at it, perhaps he'll become excellent in his own standards. But, back to the kids that I coach, with my encouragement into becoming excellent is I encourage them to practice, 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 practice. And excellent is how I define excellent, because I'm your coach, not how anybody else defines it. The one thing that I learned with kids is they'll listen to their coach board and they listen to their parents, and so therefore, again, I'm always 100 with them. My encouragement is in helping your excellence. I believe that with my encouragement, you can become an excellent free throw shooter because I'm going to encourage you the whole way as long as you're not participating, as long as you're not getting your behind on that line and just shooting up the ball. And every time I talk to you, you're looking left and right. And now, if we eye engage and you there, Kids who would tap me, hey coach, remember you got extra 5 minutes. You're gonna do some shooting drills with me for 5 minutes. Remember? Yep, I remember. And then my wife be, honey, when you gonna be home? I'll be home in another 10 minutes. I'm helping Bronson with his jump shot. Okay, listen, Bronson, we're gonna shoot 50 of them. How do I encourage you? I need you to make at least 30 of them. We're not even worried about the 20 of them that you missed. We need to make 30. So how do I make it excellent? I don't put him outside at the 3-point range. I put him 10 feet, 7 feet, makeable, an attainable goal to increase his thought process of excellence and my encouragement instead of making him a participant by putting him back out here on shots that I'm not going to let him take in the game, and I know that he can't make, so that's a waste of time. So now you're going to become a participant. And the simple fact is, I'm giving you to do something that you're not having fun at, you don't want to do, and you're not going to be good at. But we can work on this here. So I'm going to encourage you to be excellent in this. That's how I use my encouragement to be excellent and not to be a participant sitting on the sideline because again, that's something that I can't get with. It's a attitude. You encourage kids to compete. You don't encourage them to participate. You tell them, how great they are because every kid is great. I don't care what anybody says. You can tell y'all, nah, he's not great. He's not. Yes, yes, he is. You just haven't found what he's great in. And we as grown-ups tend to use that as an excuse of why we're not trying to help a kid or meet a kid where they are. We try to use what we perceive to be their deficiency to make them a participant instead of a competitor, because perhaps sports ain't what they're competitive at. Maybe they are a participant. So guess what we're doing? We're breeding a participant. Now he got a trophy, even if his team took first, he never got on the field, never got on the court. He was still a participant because you, as the parent or the coach, never encouraged him to get better, to want to be he or she, I apologize. He or she, you never encouraged them to get better, to become more than just a participant, but to be a player. Because a participant and a player is two different things. Players play in the game, participants is in practice. Participants clap on the sideline during the game. You never helped this kid evolve to become a player, so you kept them as a participant because you didn't you labeled them from what you saw maybe the first couple of times instead of what you could possibly see if you looked a little further. So I think we as grown-ups we're the reason that these kids are participants because again, it's a learned thing. I think we have to get away from that. I think we have to take the time, be tired if that's what it takes sometimes, and we have to find what our kids are competitive in so we can have a better, more competitive world. So that we don't look on the news and hear how far we are behind compared to other countries because we've lost our competitive edge. You hear that all of the time. You don't hear our participating edge because America's not a participant. America is competitive. So I think as parents, we need to get back to teaching that and telling our kids it's okay if we lose, but what are we going to do to correct that loss like we were taught? As a kid, when you got in a fight, you got beat up, you went home. Me, I had my big cousins. What you think they did to me? Took me right back around the corner. You not leaving here, you gonna fight this dude until he quit or you win. But at the end of the day, you gonna sit here, you gonna compete. That's what it taught me. It's I mean, that's a bad analogy. Well, really, not really. It's one that we can all understand. I think we need to get back to that, and not necessarily in that content, but I think we need to get back to making our kids compete. I mean, me and my brothers, we always competed. My kids in the neighborhood, they compete. They knew when they came over to the Marshall's house, the basketball hoop was up. 20 kids in the front yard playing basketball, competing. There was nobody sat out. If they sat out, I would say, "Why are you sitting out?" Get in there, man. I can't get the ball. Well, figure out how to get the ball. Get in there. My youngest son attributes his older brother and their friends all to him being the basketball player that he was, because he was 6 years younger than them, but they made him play with him all of the time, and they knocked his butt down, skinned him up, made him cry a whole bunch of times, but they always made him compete. They never let him come home crying. They never let him go in the house crying. They called him a crybaby, make him mad. He'd get right back out there and compete. And I know right now, as sensitive parents, we say, oh, da, 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 but I look at what I built in my two boys. And I look at their friends around them that were there in my front yard playing and listening to me yell at them. All competitors as well. Great jobs, all are successful, and all are competing. You know, it's so when we redefine recognition, I think it has to be a case of recognizing the effort that might have been put in, recognize the attitude that was given towards any constructive or redirective criticism, or any praise. I think we need to you know redefine our standards as far as participating versus competing. I think as far as being a mentor and teaching this quality to me, you have to first find out what motivates the kid, what motivates the person, because we all want to compete. Even those who participate, they want to compete. It just might not be in what their present situation is. I think what we have to do with our young children is expose them to so many things to where you find that thing that they want to compete at, and that they become that we make it cool to be competitive again. We make it cool to have the Letterman jacket again. The Letterman jacket doesn't have to come from school. The Letterman jacket could come from the neighborhood. The Letterman jacket could come from your household. It's the Letterman jacket is just a microcosm of making it cool to show that you've done something on a level that caused you to compete and not just participate, not just be there. You actually had a call to action. Think that's what we need to get back to with our children. And I think it starts with us as grown-ups. It starts with us as coaches. It starts with us as mentors. We have to meet meet the kids where they are, but also allow them to understand that it's okay to be pushed, because it's going to make you a better you. Um, I will continue to push those around me. I will continue to push those kids that I run into. I will continue to push the kids that I help train at the high school. I will continue to push my employees, because I want them to be better. I want them to compete. But not only do I want them to compete, but I want them to win. You can't win unless you compete, because nothing is given. And most of everything that you get, you have to compete for it. It's not a participation given type of thing. You don't get a check for participating, you get a check for competing and delivering. So again, thank you for listening to Coach Rado's podcast on trophies for everyone. Again, this is strictly my opinion. You can agree with it or you don't have to. You may have opinion of your own. I would love to hear some of you guys' opinions. Let's not be too harsh on each other. Let's be respectful of each other, because again, everyone's entitled to their opinions. Some of you may agree with me, some of you won't, but we don't, it's not an argument session. It's just a conversational piece. I would love to know how some of you guys feel about today's society of everyone winning a trophy. And again, I would like to thank you, friends, family, those who I know and those who I don't, for tuning in to Coach Rado's podcast. You can find me wherever you listen to your podcast at. Have a great day.